Yeah, okay, so good evening everyone. First of all, to confirm if my audio is audible, you can maybe give a reaction, or you can just raise your hand in case you can hear me. Yeah, okay, so yeah, welcome to our first Build with AI session. Yeah, my name is Alex Nyambura, and I'm the campus organizer, Google Developer Groups, University of Embu. Yeah, and I'm excited to kick off this incredible journey with all of you. It will be a 2 week, okay, it's a 6 days study jam, which will start today. So it will run from today up to 6. And our first session will cover I'll just share my screen. Yeah, so this is the agenda. On day one, we'll introduction to GenAI, and today is day one. And then we'll proceed to day two, day three, day four. Day four will be on a Friday, and then we'll start over on Monday, which is day five. And then day on a Wednesday. So we won't have a session on Tuesday. Yeah, there's just something about Tuesdays. It's like a holiday nowadays. So we won't have a session on Tuesday, but we'll have our last session on Wednesday, which will be our day 6. Yeah, so before we start, I'd love to introduce a certain program. Okay, so the program is about skills. So yeah, Google offered us some courses which you can do and also qualify to get a 50% discount on the examination fee. So I think I'll just share the link. You can first of all go and create an account on Google Cloud Skill Boost. And in order for you to for the certification, for the exam certification discount, you'll have to fill a form so that we can do the program, because you have to be part of the program, which is the Build with AI University of Embu program. Yes, so that's the link that I've shared. I'll share the link to the form in a few, so that once you've created a Google Cloud Skill account, you can then go ahead and fill the form so that we can add your email. Actually, the main name of the email is, the form is to collect your email so that we can send you an intron. Yeah, and some of the courses that you can do on the okay, maybe you can give me a minute. So once you create a Cloud Skill Boost account, you get access to 35 credits when you join the innovator. I think it's called innovators something. Yeah, you get some innovator credits. When you get an innovator membership, you get 35 credits every month for free, which you can use to learn some Google Cloud technology. So let me share the document with you a moment so that you can see what courses are eligible for the 50% discount exam. Yeah, so in order to create an account, actually, I think I'll walk you through how to create an account. I'll share the link. It's cloudskillsboost.google. Let me just show you how to create an account and how to start. Okay, so I was getting a link for how you can. That's a guide of how you can use the Cloud Skill. So it's a platform which gives you the resources and everything. So let me just share my other screen and show you how it's done. Okay, so I've opened the link, cloudskillboost.google, and yeah, I've gotten a prompt where I can sign in with my Google account, but in case where you won't get that, you can just come and join. In case you're a new person and if you've been there, you can just use sign in. Okay, so normally I usually prefer signing in with your Google account. It will just go and collect your details instead of having to fill all this manually. And it's much simple. So I'll just come and sign in my Google account. I'll use that email and continue. Yeah, then make sure you read the terms and conditions and everything here. I'll just come and fill my date of birth. Verify that you're not a robot and accept. So once you accept, you'll get if you want to join the Innovators program, they give you 5 free credits every month. So I'll just click join and they'll ask me to fill in a few details. So I'll log in again with my account, continue. I'll give it some time to join. Okay, so once I've created an account, you can see that I have 0 credits at the moment. So I'm not sure if I don't think it has. So I can come and buy credits. In this case, because you're using the Innovators package, you'll get 35 credits every month. So make sure in the case where you don't get that prompt, you can just come here in your profile and you select an account. Once you select it, it should actually give you the 5 credits. So I'll just come and fill in these details. I'm still a beginner. Yeah. I'm a developer at University of Embu. Yeah, and then once you've read the terms and conditions, everything, you can now create join. You can hit join. Yeah, and you can see that I've already gotten my 35 credits. So once you've done this, you can now share with me that email that okay, so you can see that the credits expire. They usually expire, I think, after a month, but they'll be renewed every time they expire. So yeah, so let me show you now how to join the chapter, but everything is in the document that I've shared. So once you've provided me with your email, I'll add it to the program. Let me just add it. Give me like 15 seconds to add. open my primary email. Yeah, I've gotten an invitation to join the developer ecosystem community. So once you've gotten that, you can just click on sign in and it will open it on a new tab. Yeah, and once you open it on a new tab, I'll have to again switch my account. Okay, forgive me for that, just a minute. So once you've been invited to the program, you'll get a certain invitation here, and I'll view the invitation. Once you view the invitation, you can accept it. And yeah, with that, you'll have the eligibility to qualify for the 50% certification discount on a course that you want to take. So some of the courses are here. Everything is in this document. I've shared it in the chat. You can just come and I was actually explaining this whole process of how you can create an account and join the developer ecosystem. So this is the guideline that you'll use in case you want to qualify for the 50% examination discount. So let me get to it starting. Yeah, so once you pursue a Google Cloud certification, on the following paths, we have a Cloud Digital Leader, Generative AI Leader, Cloud Engineering Certificate, and also Data Analytics. You can, once you're done with those courses, you can come and request for the voucher, the 50% discount voucher on the certification exam. So, and in order for you to qualify, you must be a member of a Google Career Launchpad, and that's why I'm advising you to make sure you're part of. Make sure you fill that form so that I can give an invitation to join our Career Launchpad. Yeah, and then in case maybe you want the certification for Cloud Digital Leader, you'll have to finish some of the labs that are under that path. You can see for this one, there are 6. In case you want for an associate cloud engineer, you'll have to make sure you finish those. You can even decide to do all of them. That's 4 certifications and it's a win. And also make sure that your profile is public. So how to make your profile public? You can just go to your profile part, settings, and you'll make it public. Yeah, so I guess with that, that's all I have to say. And another thing, for most of the labs that we'll be working with, we might require cloud credits. Normally, people usually pay for the cloud credits, but in this case, Google has provided us with credits worth $5, which you can use to carry out your labs without having to pay, using maybe your personal, let's say using your credit card. For those who worked with cloud environments and you know how this subscription thing works. So yeah, Google has provided us with cloud credits, and I'll share with you the link to the credits and also how you can renew them. So I'll share it in the chat. And I'll also share the form that I told you to fill. So just a minute. So that's the form, the link to the form that you'll fill. So let us go and renew our cloud credits. So the process is actually simple. I've shared a link in the chat where you'll just come and paste it on your browser, or you can just click on it. You'll be given a prompt to sign in. So I'll just use my Google account. Yes, so I repeat once again, the purpose of the cloud credits is to allow you to use the Google Cloud services for free, because we are conducting a training right now, and we don't want you to like use your own money to pay for some services like Firebase hosting and stuff. So you can see that it's worth $5, and it's valid for 180 days. So you just come here and click to access your credits. Yeah, it will open a new tab, so I'll share that other tab. And I'll give it just a few seconds. Yeah, so you can see that I've gotten a form. I'll just accept continue. You can just come and fill in your names here, but it has fetched from my Google account, so I'll accept and continue. Yeah, and you can see that my credit has been applied successfully. So once it's applied, it will create a bin account on your profile. Yeah, and you can see that I have my billing account already. So also when we are running this labs, your billing account to be Google Cloud Platform Trial billing account, the one that you're working on right now. Otherwise, if you mess up and maybe use your main billing account or any other billing account, you'll find that you'll get some X which you never expected. So you can come and view maybe your credits here to see how much you're spending. So right now you can see I have my $5 worth of credits and I've not yet started using them. So once you use them, you'll see at a point they'll start to decrease. Or yeah, and you can see the okay. That's it. It will end on 4th January 2026. Yeah. So in case you're also new to Google Cloud, there's also a certain short course that will help you to do what? It's actually in the courses which you will do for the certification. So if you're not familiar with Google Cloud, I'll also share a link that will help you to navigate it. So I guess that's all on my end. So now I'll just take this chance to introduce Eric Mwangi. So Eric has been he's been okay, I'm lacking the word. He's been a friend because I knew him even before we joined campus, and we're one of the few members who joined the club in its early days. Yeah, because that was even before we joined campus. We had already joined the club earlier. So I can say tumetoka mbali na yeye. He's also worked with me side by side as the AI and machine learning lead. Yeah, so, but I don't know much about him. You know, boys, we don't interact that much when it comes to a personal perspective. So I'll also give him the chance to introduce himself and also tell us what he's planned for the session. So thank you, everyone. And in case you have any question, I'll open up the forum. You can use the chats and you can also raise your hand, or if you're shy even to type, there's a DM section and also a Q&A. You can just type there. Yeah, so we're also live on YouTube. I've shared the link in the chat. You can share it with your friends, maybe watch it for future use in case maybe you want to go back to something that you might have missed. You can always go back and watch it. So yeah, thank you. Eric, welcome.
Hope you can hear me. Maybe you can react or type in the chat. I don't want to continue and then nikuta mko mnanisikia.
Yes, we can hear you, Eric.
Oh, okay. So as Alex has said, my name is Eric Mwangi, and so far I have been serving as a AI ML lead for the past 1 year or so. Yeah, I joined the club even before joining the university, and so far it has been a great resource for me. I've learned a lot, especially from Alex. He has been challenging me to push myself further. So for today, we are going to have an introduction on generative AI. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, just a second. I hope you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can see your screen.
So today you're going to have an introduction on generative AI, specifically Gemini API. So before we start, I'm going to show you how to create an account on AI Studio and how to get an API key. So this is essential for you to be able to use the Gemini API in your applications. That is in your coding, you're building your apps. So the link is here. Let me share the link. Okay. aistudio.google.com. So what AI Studio is a platform by Google which makes prototyping your apps much easier. Okay, specifically AI applications. So it makes your work much easier to prototype your apps. So instead of creating an application, let's say you're creating an application to generate images. So instead of creating it, going through the whole process, and then after finishing, you find out that something is not working or it is not perfect enough to be released. So AI Studio hosts those models, so you can go and create the application there fast without even writing any code. And if you have confirmed that it is now working perfectly, now you can migrate the code to your application, which is even much simpler. So I'll share the tab. So this is AI Studio. For now, I'll show you how to get an API key. Then the other features we'll go through with them later. So here you can see the get an API key. That's where you'll click after you have signed in with Google. So here you can click to create an API, a new API key, and select a project. You can put any project. So I'm going to say this one. And then you have to copy it. You don't have to keep it somewhere else because after you've come back later, you'll still find it here. You just click and copy it again. So if you are working on an application, maybe with Python or JavaScript, there's some SDKs which you use to interact with the Gemini API. It will require this API key. So that's the one you'll be using. So let me go back to the slides. So you have seen AI Studio, you have logged in, and you have created an API key. The other stuff I'll show you later. So on to the topic for today. What is generative AI? So simply speaking, generative AI is a type of artificial intelligence that can create new and original content. So the new content you can have maybe images or text or sound. So instead of just analyzing or categorizing existing data, the generative AI models, they learn how to create something entirely new from data you have trained it before. So to understand this better, it is easier to understand this better by seeing where generative AI fits in the broader field of AI. You know, in AI we don't have only generative AI. There are other fields like machine learning or deep learning. So I'll show you where it fits in all this. You have this graph here. Okay, it's not full. And also, if you have a question, you can interrupt me mid-sentence. You don't have to wait until the end. So in the blue circle, that we have AI. So AI encompasses everything in the AI field. So the definition for AI is just simply anything in tech that mimics human intelligence. You can see a system that interacts to your request and to your itakufanya ufikirie that this is something that only a human can do. So that is AI in the broader category. Then in AI, we have a subset which we call machine learning. So machine learning here, we are training computers to learn from data without writing explicit programs, without even, you're not like writing for if statements, if statements. So it just looks at, it learns from the data and decides what to do. So an example of machine learning, we have like an email spam filter. So here what you do, you just pass it with examples of emails which are credible and other emails which are spams. And then the system can learn to identify the patterns in those emails so that later if you give it a new email, it will be able to predict whether it is a credible email or a spam email. Then after machine learning, we have deep learning. So this is a subset of machine learning. So deep learning, we say it's an advanced type of machine learning because we use different architecture here. For machine learning, we have different algorithms, but for deep learning, we use something called neural networks. So neural networks are essential to learn complex patterns in data. So for example, in machine learning, maybe you could have used something uh, like tabular data, as in data is in Excel. But for deep learning, it is able to learn from complex types of data. This is something like images or audio or text itself. So it is advanced and it is able to learn from those types of data. And even the size of data it can take is a lot compared to machine learning. So for Gen AI, it is also an application of deep learning. So it is an application of deep learning. You can see it's a subset of deep learning. So what differentiates Gen AI with others is that instead of classifying or predicting, Gen AI creates new types of data. And examples of Gen AI, we have transformers. So transformer is an example of generative AI model that is used in, let's say, ChatGPT to generate new text and understand text better. So let me go back to my slides. So basically that is generative AI, what it is. And then we have LLMs. So LLMs, there are also a type of generative AI, but this one they are specifically trained to understand and generate human language. So LLM in full is a large language model, and we say they are large because they are trained on a huge amount of text data so that you can be able to gain a deeper understanding of the human language and how human language works. So how an LLM works, you can give it an example of text like it is raining cats and dog and okay, it is raining cats and then it will look at the data it had been trained on before, and then it creates a probability for the next word. So it's predicting the next word. And then it chooses the words with the highest probability. So in this slide, you can see the word with the highest probability is dogs. It has 0.9 probability. So it's predicting the next word. So the response from the LLM, it will become, it is raining cats and dogs. So basically an LLM is like autocomplete on steroids. You see in your phone, when you're typing, you have autocomplete. But for an LLM, it is trained on a large amount of data. So it's autocomplete on steroids. Another example of an input you can give it, roses are red. I think most of you can complete it. Violets are blue. It's a common pattern. So if you give it to an LLM, that is the response that you'll be getting. And also, apart from text, it can also predict the next pattern in code. Code is also another, you can see it's just text too. So this is a for loop. It will be able to predict the next part. So modern LLMs are large, like we have said, they're trained on a large amount of data. Especially we have something like Wikipedia. That's where they get a lot of data. They are trained on billions or trillions of parameters. So these are classic natural language problems that we used to solve with LLMs. So the first example of a problem we can solve is entity extraction. So what entity extraction is, for example, you'll give an LLM a paragraph and you'll ask it to extract the names or the date or the location that are mentioned in that paragraph. So that's what we call an entity extraction. The entity is a name or a date or a location. Then the other thing is classification. You can give it uh, also, let's say, a piece of text or a comment, and you ask it to give what type of tone the person is using. And then you have summarization. You can give it a huge paragraph and ask it to summarize the content into a shorter one, but it does not lose the main meaning. Then you can also use it for translation. Google uses LLMs for translation. You can translate from one language to another. So LLMs help us to prototype fast. They help us to create AI-driven application really fast. For example, if you are to create a spam email detection, traditionally what you'd have done before, you would have collected thousands of emails which are credible and other emails which are not credible, and then you label them correctly, and then you have to create a model to learn the patterns in those emails. But that was what we did before, and it is expensive and time consuming. But now with LLMs, because they are already trained on a massive amount of text data, so they are able to understand the human language. They are able to identify the patterns much easier, and also they have common sense. So if you give it text, it will be able to tell whether it is a credible one or a spam email. Okay. So thanks to the massive size of LLMs, they are able to perform well on a new class of human language task. For example, in the current slide, as you can see, it can be used to explain humor. So you can give it a prompt and ask it to explain a joke. Like I used to be addicted to soap, but now I'm clean. And then the model will look at the prompt you have given and the joke, and it will be able to understand where the humor is from that statement. So the joke is a pun on the word clean. It has two meanings: to be free of dirt or unwanted substances, or to be free of addiction. The joke is funny because it is unexpected, and the listener expects the speaker to be talking about the first meaning of clean, but they're talking about the second meaning, which creates surprise and a laugh. So, why are large language models different from other models? So, there are three specific reasons. The first one is that they have emergent abilities, which means that you don't have to train the model to do specific things. You can just train it on a large amount of data, of text data, and it will learn how to translate or maybe how to answer questions or how to write code and so on its own. You don't have to explicitly train it to write code or answer questions. Then the other difference, the LLMs change how we interact with intelligent systems because of their contextual understanding of human language. So, for example, with an LLM, instead of writing an SQL query to query a database, you can just ask a simple question and it will give you the response. Or if you need to find information on a website, you can just type it on a chatbot and it will perform the search for you and give you that information in an easier, absorbable manner, in a way that you'll understand much easily. So finally, LLMs are the next in our machine learning journey. So many years ago, you'll use algorithms such as simple regression to find patterns in data. But and then and then we transition to use neural networks so that you can be able to unlock hidden patterns in a much larger data set. But now with LLMs, we can find patterns and connections in massive data set, which are not only including text only. We can also have data set that also have images or even sound. So this is so Google is an industry pioneer in the field of AI. There have been many advancements which have been fueled by Google since this whole AI race started. So some of the most important one, at least personally for me, which the ones that I like, we have 2017 where Google invents a transformer, kickstarting the LLM revolution. So the transformer is the underlying, let's say, algorithm that helps LLMs or chatbots. They help them to understand text better. So when we talk to it, it will be able to understand you much better. So these are powered by transformers. Then the other important one was on 2022, where AlphaFold developed a model which is able to predict the structures of proteins, of all known proteins. So this is really helpful because it will be able to create new drugs to identify problems in our bodies, things like that. And then last year, 2024, Google released Gemini, which is a family of multimodal LLMs and products. So those are just some of the key milestones by Google in this AI race. So when you're talking about multimodality, what is multimodality? So I'm going to give you an example of how we interact with each other. So we don't just use our eyes alone to understand each other, or we don't just use our ears alone to understand each other well. What we do is that we use them all together. So in AI, multimodality means that an AI system can understand different types of information, that is text and images or audio or even video at the same time. It uses them at the same time so that it can get much more relevant information. So some of you might ask, why not use two different models? So you have one model that uses text and another model that uses sound, and then they communicate with each other. But now the problem with that is that you see when you convert sound to text, there's some information that might be lost because when you're talking, you have that tone that you are using, and you cannot describe that tone in text. So you find some information might be lost. So the best option here is having a model that can understand both text and sound, and in that sound, it is able to capture that information that is held within the tone that you are using. So the importance of multimodality is just better understanding, and with better understanding, the model will be able to make better decisions, and it will give you a better response. Yeah, so that is multimodality. Any question so far? I hope you can still hear me. Any question? I can see people typing yes. Oh, what is the question? You can just type it. Oh, yeah, so this applies to LLMs. Yeah, so generative AI specifically, we are focusing on LLMs because that is it's the one that has a lot of use cases. So yeah, we'll focus a lot on LLMs. We have other models that can generate maybe images or sound, but LLMs are the main focus for now. Any other question? Okay, then I guess I will continue. So when you are talking about the milestones by Google, last year they introduced Gemini, which is a family of models. So now we are in the Gemini era. So in Gemini, we have three types of models. You have the larger model, which is an ultra model, which is the most capable and largest model for more complex tasks. And then we have the Pro model. It is the best model for scaling across a wide range of tasks. So for the Pro model, it balances between efficiency and accuracy in its response. So it will be fast but better, more accurate. And then the small model, we have Nano, which is the most efficient model for on-device tasks. So these are models that run on the device locally, so you don't even have to be online to use them. So the Nano model is available on this link. Let me share the link. You can use Gemini Nano for your Android applications. The models can run locally. You can just check the documentation there. So apart from those three models, there are also other classes of models which are Gemma open models. So these are also by Google, but they are smaller models. So they are smaller, yes, but now we have some downside maybe on things like accuracy, but they are still good for you to use. You can find them on this link too. So Gemini models are built from the ground up to support multimodality. So they are able to reason seamlessly across different types of input data like text, images, video, audio, and code. So in the Gemini ecosystem, there are different ways you can interact with the Gemini models. So, sorry. There are different ways you can interact with the Gemini models. So for consumers, so these are people who don't code or know absolutely nothing about tech. So you can interact with Gemini on their app or the web. You can also interact with Gemini on the Google app or in Gmail, Docs, even Play Store. I think there is one. Yeah. So for developers, you can interact with the Gemini API. So that is in the AI Studio, which I showed you before. We'll go through it later. Then for businesses and enterprises, there's Gemini for Google Workspace, Gemini for Google Cloud, and Gemini in Vertex AI. So there are two ways you can interact with the model as a developer. You can use the Gemini API and also Vertex AI. But the difference between the Gemini API and Vertex AI is that Gemini API is direct and fast. It is much easier to use Gemini models in AI Studio as compared to Vertex AI. And Vertex AI, what it is, it runs on Google Cloud. It is an entire platform for building, deploying, and managing all types of machine learning applications, including those in the Gemini API. So here in Vertex AI, you can handle your own data and train custom models. So let's say in Vertex AI, you can do a lot of things as compared to Gemini API. But now the downside is for Vertex, you have to pay for it. But in Gemini API, most of them are free. You can also upgrade to use even better models, but most of them are free for your own testing. So getting started with the Gemini API. As I said before, to interact with the Gemini API, you'll have to use their web interface, which is AI Studio. I've showed you how to generate API keys. What now I'll do is to show you how to create, test, and save prompts, how to customize models. Okay, customization is not there. It was migrated to Vertex, so I'll not do that. It was migrated to Vertex. It's not there. Then how to generate starter code. That's what I will do. So for now, I'll go through the slides and then I'll show you overall how to interact with the AI Studio. So that is how it looks like. It's a web interface to the Gemini API. You can use it to prototype your ideas in the browser without writing any code. So in AI Studio with the Gemini API, you can just ask the model what you want it to do in plain human language and get results in seconds. Then when you are ready, Google AI Studio will help you to move your prompt into your app. So that is maybe if you're building your own application, you can just copy the code and it will work in your app. So we had started off by getting an API key. It will give you access to do anything on AI Studio. Think of it as a password of accessing Gemini. So here is where you can select the model that you want to use, but I'll show you later. Just skip that one. And that one too. And then after you are done, you can just get the code and paste it in your own application that you're creating. I showed you how to create the API key. So when you are ready, Google AI Studio will help you to move your prompt into your app. In the prompt UI, there is a Get Code button that will show you code snippets for a number of languages, and they are pre-filled with their prompt and use the same exact settings that you used in AI Studio. There is even an option to load the code into a Colab notebook, and all your settings in the prompt will be migrated to the application that you want to use, if it is Google Colab. So Gemini API is a REST API you can call directly using one of the user-friendly libraries in Python, JavaScript, Java, Go, or Flutter. So for the presentation, they have been using the Python SDK since it's the most popular one, but everything should be accessible using the API. So if you're not planning on using AI Studio, you can also use Vertex AI, and it also has all the models that are available in Gemini API, AI Studio. It gives you access to Gemini family of models and enterprise support that is only available in Vertex AI. So the content we have been covering is only for Gemini API that is available on AI Studio, but it is important to be aware that it is also available in Vertex AI in Google Cloud. So Vertex AI's Generative Studio gives the same access to models like Gemini, and they have kept those APIs as close as possible to make migration to the cloud as easy as possible. That is, when you want to push to production now, you can use it in Vertex AI. So you are expected to start using or experimenting with the Gemini API, but if you are already familiar with working on a cloud environment, you can go directly to using Vertex AI. So now I'll show you AI Studio, how it looks like, because now it has been most theory. Before okay, I'll repeat how to create an API key. Yes, I'll show you how to integrate the API to your own system. Is there any other question before I continue? Okay, just continue. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, you can see your screen.
Okay. So this is the AI Studio interface. So for getting an API key, once you go to .google.com, you'll see a button here. You click to get an API. Once it has navigated to the next tab, you have the button here to create a new API key. So just click it and create a new API key. And select the project you want to. If you don't have projects, I think there will be an option to create a new project. So I'll just create a new project here. I'll select a project and then I create a new API key. It will generate it for you. And you don't have to save it anywhere else. Once you come back here, it will still be there. So maybe if you lose it accidentally, you can just come back here and copy it again. So that is sorted for you. So now once you have an API key, this is the interface for Google AI Studio. We have different features like chat, stream, generate media, build, and here is your chat history. So for chat, you have different features that you can use here. The first thing is selecting the model that you want to use. So we have different types of models. So the first models, we have Gemini 2.5, which are the latest models. Gemini 2.0, they were previous ones. Then you have Gemma. I told you the small models. Then the other model you have Learn LM. So Learn LM, these are models that you specifically use it to train you. Okay, it just teaches you about a specific topic. So maybe you want to learn something in physics, you can have a Learn LM model which teaches you physics. But for now, you just use the Gemini 2.5 models. And then before you select a model, you can just hover over it and you'll get the, what do you call it? The specifications for the model. So you can see here it tells you the model is best for coding, reasoning, and multimodal understanding, and the use cases you can use it for. And if you are paying for it, since it's a pro model, you can see the cost it takes to get an input and an output. Depending on the number of tokens that you have. So the API pricing is per 1 million tokens. So you can just look at the specification and choose the model you want. So after you have selected a model, there's some tuning you can do for the model. So here you can select the temperature. What the temperature, this is just how it just determines how creative your model will be in the responses. So if it has a low temperature, the model will not be that creative. So it will give you a response that it is expected. You can even predict the response on your own. But if you give it a high temperature, the response will be more creative. It's not something that you're going to expect. So for thinking, let me just give it a prompt. You can see here the model is thinking. So here you have an option to toggle it off or on. So if you don't want the model to think, you can toggle it off. And if you want to think, you can just keep it on. So an advantage of letting the model think is because it will be able to reduce hallucinations. So the model will not give you responses that are not correct. You can also set a thinking budget. So how long do you want the model to think for? So if it is low, the model will think for a shorter time. And if you make it high, it will think for longer. So the tools that you can use, you have structured output. So let's say you're working on a website and you want the model to return its response in JSON format. So here you can give a structured output, and you'll just type the format you want it to return the response in, so that it will be much easier for you to integrate it into your project. If you don't need structured output, you can just keep it off. And then code execution, here will give the model ability to run the code that it generates. So the model generates code and it can run it too if you switch it on. So function calling, this is if you turn it on, maybe you can want Gemini to perform a search on your behalf, or maybe you might want it to interact with your email. So you can switch it on to give that capability, and you write the code there. For now, you don't have functional keep it. The other one is, which is most important, is grounding with Google search. So before a model gives you a response, when you switch this one on, the model will first come Google its responses, so that when you get a response, it will not hallucinate, or it will not be wrong. Then you have advanced settings here. You have safety settings. So Google is general enough to allow you to to mess around with the safety settings. So here you can block stuff like harassment or hate speech, dangerous content. So it gives you that capability. You can block all of them, or do not run safety filters by default. So another thing you can do is give the model a system in. You click here for system interaction. So here you are giving the model how it's supposed to act. So I'm going to say your name is Jarvis. You are a sarcastic tech reviewer. So that's how it's going to act. It knows its name will be Jarvis, and it will be sarcastic when it is reviewing some tech stuff. So I can ask it, hello, who are you? You can see in its response, haijajibu directly. It's being sarcastic, it's trying to be funny, but it has got its name correct. And then I can ask it to give me like a review. So that is the review it has given. If you read it all, it's somehow sarcastic. And since I had switched on the grounding with Google search, it will give you the sources it has removed them from. And then now let's say you are comfortable with how the model is, and you can see it is also using the name you have given it. You can now migrate the code with all the system settings that you have put here to your code now. You can generate the code here, and for now it uses Python, but you can change the language that you want. You can use TypeScript or Java, Kotlin or Swift, and then you just copy the code and transfer it to application. So all the settings are transferred. So for example, you can see the system instruction is still here. Your name is Jarvis. You're a sarcastic tech reviewer. So that's the code you'll be copying and migrating to your code. Then apart from giving it text input, you can give it much more different data so that you can get better context. So you can attach files or even audio or even an image from your camera, or you can give it a YouTube video link. So that's what I'm going to do, a link from YouTube. So that's the YouTube video I've uploaded. And ask it to give a summary. Okay, I can see a question here. We go over pricing and how does the concept of tokens. So tokens like the amount of input a model can take. So let's say this one, if you have less than 200k tokens, for an input it will charge you $1.25, and an output it will be $10. If it is greater than 200k tokens, the input will be $2.5 and the output $15. So here for the pricing, you'll have to check for each specific model, but some models are free and they charge lower for input and output tokens. So it is just kulingana na vile tu unataka ukiangalia. So the model has been able to watch the video and has summarized the key points from the presentation. So you can give it more context so it can give you a response. So like YouTube videos, images, or audio or sound. I think that's all on charts. You can go to the other thing is for streaming. So streaming here, you're talking to Gemini Live. So you can talk to it directly as if you are on a phone call, or you can share your webcam, the video, and the model is able to see what is happening around you. Or you can just share a screen. So what I will do, I will share a screen. Wait. I'll just share that screen and ask it something. Hey Gemini, can you see my screen? And let me just type. It is interrupting when I'm talking. Hey Gemini, can you see my screen? So as you can see, it's able to stream live data. So that is my screen sharing. It's able to see and give you points on what it's seeing. So after that, if you are comfortable how it is working, you can just get the code and copy the code and migrate it into your own application. Now it's for you to create work. Just easily copy the code there. And if you are working with Python, transfer it to your own application. Then the other thing you can do is generate media. So you have different types of model. So you have image gen. It's a Gemini model that is able to generate images. Then for one for speech generation, and then you have VO, which is famous now for video generation. You can generate videos. I'm not going to work with the video one for now because I'm using a free version and it delays a lot. So maybe I can just generate an image. Can give it something like goat riding a bike. I don't know. And here you can give it the settings of the number of results, number of images you want, the aspect of the image. Then after you have put these settings and you have seen it generate a better image, you can copy the code to and migrate to your own platform. There it is. You can easily copy it with all the settings and migrate it to your platform. So it makes it easier to build applications, AI applications. Then the other one, the other last thing, with on the build tab here we see some examples of build using the Gemini models. So you can use ones that people have created before. You can create your own. You can just give it a prompt. So I'll just use the one that is here. So an image generator. Okay, let me give it something else. So a topic based flashcard application. So here is a code assistant. It will write the whole code for you. So if it's a website, it will code a website for you that has capability to generate flashcards based on the topic that you have given. See my screen.
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay. Taking quite a while. Is there any other question? where I'll share the slides later. But for now, there's some things that are not there fully. So once I finish setting them all up correctly, I'll share them in the group. And I think Alex can put them in our dashboard. So once you go back to where the event was, you can get the resources there, or them, even the links. We have them all, we share them. So yeah, this is the application now that has been generated. Can give it a topic, maybe AI, and it will generate the flashcards. Yeah, so this is it. You can see it works perfectly, and it just makes it easier. So what you can do now is, after this, you can just copy the code and then you take it locally and make your own changes, and it's just much easier. Then one last thing I forgot to show you. Yeah, on the chart. So if you don't know which model is better than the other, there's a feature here they call compare mode. So for compare mode, you can compare two different models on the same prompt. So for now we have Gemini 2.5 Pro. Maybe I'll just select 2.0 Flash. That is the previous one. And I ask it to generate an email convincing to invest in a startup. So as you can see, 2.5 Pro has a feature for thinking, and the 2.0 Flash it before. So you can just look at the responses and compare which one fits your needs, and then you it with that model. As you can see, the 2.0 Flash did not even generate an email. It's just asking for you to give it much more information so that you can be able to generate it. But for the 2.5 Pro, it has dragged an example of an email, even with the context of the startup that you have. It is at least assuming, but it's giving you a format on how to write it. So if you are to choose one model which is performs better according to you, and it's much easier. And then I think that's all for AI Studio. You can check out the documentation for other features if maybe I've not mentioned them. That's the link for AI Studio documentation with the Gemini API. So I'll go back to the slides. So before we wrap up, there's something important that we're supposed to cover, which is responsible AI. So these models by Google are powerful, but you need to make sure that the output is being used in a way that is safe. So Google has published AI principles that they use across their AI products, and as a developer, you are encouraged to do the same. So the Gemini API comes with built-in safety filters to filter out certain content, and these are enabled by default. I think I showed you how to mess around with that setting for safety filters. So developers are able to change these filters, but you are advised to do so with caution and make sure you perform comprehensive evaluation along your critical user journey before deploying them in any real world scenario. So before you deploy it, you have to perform critical evaluation. You see how your model is performing, and it does not go through isifanye kitu mbaya, in short. So for more content and guides, you can join their website. And also they have a Discord forum where you can chat with other developers in the Gemini team. That's it.
Yeah. So I guess I'll open up the forum for Q&A. In case anyone has a question, you can request for presenter permission, and yeah, you'll get the chance to ask your question. So if one has a question, the floor is yours.
Oh yeah, Kiplangat, I think I get your point. Yes, it's generating new content, but it's based on the data it had been trained on. So yeah, I think you're right. Okay, for the recording, I think the video will be live on YouTube. For the slides, I think, can I share? It's trying to shorten the URL, but here it is. I'll be adding other slides there, so you can keep checking on it in the meantime. So on this question, is there something that can change in the near future for AI to actually think like you and I? Actually, I don't think so, because they all have to be trained on data so that they can know what to do. So I don't think there's a way that a model will be able to reason on its own based on something it has not seen before. So maybe the other thing is that giving them the system's capability to learn on their own. So instead of training them with data before, a model can go and look how to perform a certain task or how to do something else. So I think that's how it can actually think like you and I. For the WhatsApp group, I think Alex can share the link. Have I answered your question? Keep Lagat. Okay, thank you. Any other question? Okay, there is no other question. I think that's it for me. Thank you for staying until the end, and I hope that you have learned at least something. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, okay, with no further questions, I want to thank Eric for the session. He's laid an excellent foundation in AI, which we'll cover in our upcoming sessions. So yeah, don't forget to create a Cloud Skill Boost account. The links are in the chats. You can create a Cloud Skill account. And once you've created it, kindly fill a form so that we can add you to the group so that you can also get access to the 50% discount on the exam certification vouchers. So in case maybe you've missed something, the session was also live on YouTube. You can go and watch it on our channel. Also, you can like it, share, give a thumbs up, subscribe, and all that. So we'll continue with our session tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be having a session on Angular. We'll learn how to build web applications using Angular and integrating them with AI. So let's also meet using the same link tomorrow at 8 p.m. We'll be hosting Winnie Mandela, who is a community manager at Angular Kenya. So yeah, looking forward to seeing you guys. And also, yeah, I think that's all from my end. Thank you all for joining and have a good night.